Test, test.
Yep, okay.
Invite all legislators who are here to take their seats. We will begin. Legislature. Calling this meeting of the legislature to order. We are going to start off, as we always do, with Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask Minority Leader Abrahams to do the pledge, and please remain standing afterwards for a moment of silence.
I want to call for a moment of silence for a prominent man in the Great Neck community who passed away yesterday. His name was John Ryan. I think a lot of you who knew him, he was a friend to so many people. He served as the president of the Great Neck Social Center, the president of Children Learning After School program. He was on the board of directors of the Long Island Family Givers Coalition, the Advisory Council to Literacy Nassau, and on the Speaker Selection Committee for the Gerontology Professionals of New York. There's many other organizations he was involved in. He suffered a long illness, and he will be missed by all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike, could you please call the roll?
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Roll call. Deputy Presiding Officer Howard Copel.
Here.
Alternate Presiding Officer Denise Ford.
Here.
Legislator Sela Bino.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Carrie A. Solage.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Deborah Muley. Legislator C. William Gaylord III.
Present.
Legislator Vincent Muscarella.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Ellen Birnbaum. Legislator Delia DeRigi Witten. Legislator James Kennedy.
Here.
Legislator Thomas McKevitt.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Laura Schaefer. Legislator John Ferretti.
Here.
Legislator Arnold Drucker.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Rosemarie Walker.
Here.
Legislator Joshua Lafazan. Okay. All right, fine. Legislator Stephen Rhodes. Minority Leader Kavan Abrahams. And Presiding Officer Richard Nicolello.
Here.
We have a quorum, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. First order of business is going to be the top cops.
This is Josh Lafazette with Frozen.
Thank you.
Got him. After top cops, we do the public comment. I have received a number of slips. Anyone who is seeking to speak should fill out a slip at the clerk's table right there so that you can be recognized. So as I said, one of our traditions here is to recognize our top cops in Nassau County who do such a fabulous job. And today we have President of the Nassau County DAI, John Wighouse, for the purposes of the presentation. John?
Thank you. Good morning, or good afternoon now. I would like to thank Presiding Officer Nicolello, Minority Leader Abrahams, and the full legislative body for honoring our detectives today. Today we have Detective Mike Maloney, who is assigned to the ATF Task Force, Detectives Sam Razi and Richie Westhoff, who are assigned to the FBI Task Force. Detectives Razi and Westhoff are not here today due to their undercover status. But also joining us today, we have Detective Sergeant Boren and Detective Lieutenant Landman, and also Supervisor Ken Cady and Special Agent Justin Quinn, who also worked on this case. The detectives, working together with their task forces and with the Nassau County DA's office, conducted a large-scale criminal investigation called Operation Honeycomb. The initial investigation began in October of 2019 by the ATF as a crackdown on weapons and gun violence in Hempstead. During the investigation, Detective Maloney, Razi, and Westhoff, and other fellow investigators learned that narcotics traffickers profited from the anxiety and demand for drugs sparked by the coronavirus. On March 10th, 2021, the combined law enforcement task forces commenced an arrest warrant takedown of Operation Honeycomb. 53 defendants were arrested and charged in a 175-count indictment. 2 of the defendants operated a major narcotics ring that distributed heroin, cocaine, and other dangerous drugs across Long Island out of an unlicensed daycare center in Hempstead and Rosedale. Total results of the combined Nassau County and federal law enforcement investigation resulted in the seizure of $380,000 in cash, 38 firearms, including assault weapons and ammunition, 9.5 kilos of nearly pure cocaine, 1.5 kilos of crack cocaine, more than 1 kilogram of heroin, 210 grams of morphine, and 250 grams of the fatal drug fentanyl. The street value of all the drugs seized is estimated to be close to $2.8 million. Thanks to these detectives and this cooperative multi-agency investigation being conducted during the middle of a pandemic, violent drug and weapons traffickers were arrested, stockpiles of weapons and huge quantities of addictive and fatal drugs were seized and removed from the streets of Nassau County. Mike, would you like to say something?
I'd just like to acknowledge and thank you for your recognition today of the federal task force officers and the Nassau County partners that I work with. I know we know each other personally from my work with the legislator, but I want to thank you all, and this is just an example to show how these federal task forces work with the local and county agencies. So thank you once again.
Thank you. I have to say we benefit when all law enforcement agencies work to get together. And today we get to hear about the finest example of the dedication and commitment of our officers, and in this case, our detectives and those in the other agencies as well. It is, I know it must be very painstaking work and very detailed work that requires a lot of long hours and I'm sure very focused attention to every detail. So on behalf of all the residents here in Nassau County and even the surrounding communities, my heartfelt thanks to the work that you've done and what you've achieved by taking these guns and especially these drugs off our streets. Once again, you're making it safer, and once again, you let us know that you truly are on our side by sacrificing your time and, you know, just being in the forefront in our war against drugs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I just want to continue to express my thanks. Reading about this, I know 77 Pearson, maybe not 77 Pearson, but I know Pearson Avenue very well. Growing up in Hempstead for many, many years, I had friends and family that lived in that vicinity. And obviously, I mean, reading through this actual memo, it spells out a lot in terms of the firearms and the drugs that were being proliferated through that daycare center of all things, which is to me is even more shocking. That being said, I want to continue to thank you for your devotion in making sure our streets are safe. 38 less guns that are going to be off the street. That means potentially, you know, the lives that are going to be saved because of it. And the amount of drugs, that's the pounds and the kilograms of drugs that are actually going to be removed off the street is tremendous as well. That is probably being trafficked all throughout Long Island. So thank you. I understand Detectives Rossi and Westhoff are not here today, but express our gratitude to them as well as all the members of the task forces as well. Thank you.
I'd like to invite you up to the dais here so that we can give you a formal presentation.
Celia.
Next order of business is our public comment. First speaker is Richard Clolery. No, it's just...
To the members of the legislature, well, this is it. It is almost November, and we are close. We are all close to the elections. Now, with that in mind, I am greatly concerned about the direction our county is taking. And I don't mean my usual complaints about the state of our bus system, although it isn't far from my mind, I assure you. No, my new concern seems to be this law that would make it easier for first responders to sue protesters, even for looking at them funny. Now, thankfully, it was vetoed by a benevolent Nassau County executive after consulting with Albany's head district attorney. However, one political party in our county seems to want to vote for this thing anyway, in spite of the incredible unpopularity that this law is. Now, before I proceed any further, I want you to understand I am for law and order, and I have great respect for that. But as long as it doesn't bite me in the rear, needlessly, you know. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying. It makes me wonder for the future of lawful protests if cops decide to sue good protesters for no good reason whatsoever. It makes me wonder if this party in particular is legitimate, especially with what's going on in the country concerning the attempts to restrict voters' rights, women's rights, etc. Maybe I should, for the sake of this county, vote this party out at all levels of our government. Maybe I should. Have a good day.
All right. Next speaker is Pat Boyle, the Coalition of Youth Services.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pat Boyle from Gateway Youth Outreach in Elmont, and I'm also here with the Coalition of Youth Service Agencies. Well, first of all, as far as we know, we're okay in the budget, which is calming to us. We haven't been for a while, so now, you know, it's nice to know that we can go out there and do our work and get done what needs to get done. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, though, is more of a practical matter and something that you were actually directly involved in as the legislature. On June 16th, Youth Services received June 16, 2021, Youth Services received a letter saying that through the federal government and through the CARES Act, that we were going to receive 20% of our budget as an additional amount of money. Now, we were all thrilled with that, but we know, a lot of federal money and a lot of state money has come through and people are jumping on it, and that's a good thing. But what happened with this one was that we were notified June 16th. We were told that the money was going to be ready for us by the beginning or middle of September. Now, that date obviously went by. And recently, we've received another update that now the county wants to go through a whole new contracting process. They want to go through advances. They want to go through through a procedure where we would have to put things together on that level. Here's where the problem lies and where you come in. You already approved all of this money on June 10th to be put into the proper categories where the money could have been expended much more quickly than what they're actually doing. And it was you that said, yeah, they need this money. They, give it to them. Let's get it going. Let's get it moving. But there was no movement after that. I can give you some, just so that you have something to work from. The Office of Management and Budget, on the Resolution 213-21, the Budget Director signed off on the money. The Deputy Director signed off on the money. The county executive signed off on the money, and then when you go through more, there was an interdepartmental memo that had the county executive No, I'm sorry, the acting county attorney agreeing as well, too, that the money was true to form and should go and should be moved into the proper slots so that we could get paid. Then it went, after that, it got put into the various places by the Department of Budget, by the Division of Budget, sorry. And also, it was signed off on by Laura Curran to be able to give us that money. We're still waiting, and now they're changing the game. It went from, you're going to see money in your account, you have to spend it properly, and you also have to be prepared for an audit. If somebody comes in, you better spend it the way the federal government said to spend it. We're all good with that. We know how to do that. But the money never came to us. That's a little bit on the troubling side in that you wanted us to get it, the county attorney wanted us to get it, the county executive wanted us to get it. Nobody didn't want us to get it, and we didn't get it. That's it in a nutshell. I think Tom will have some of the things that have moved on since then.
So
But
who was it that specifically that indicated that the procedure was changing?
the executive director of youth services. And that was in a meeting. There was a meeting with the Commissioner of Human Services and the Controller's Office. That information was passed on after those two bodies met.
I don't see her here. Is it possible to bring her down? I mean, obviously, we're going to want to find out what's happening with the federal funds that's supposed to go to these youth agencies. So, Katie, I know you're over there. So, I mean, either today or at some point in the very near future, we're going to ask the administration to come down and explain the change in procedures. So obviously, we want to see the federal funds get in the hands of the youth service agencies to benefit the children as soon as possible.
Yeah, and the money that's coming to youth services out of all of this is $1.4 million. No complaints.
Right.
But the total amount of money that's going into this is 260. No, I'm sorry, I don't have the number right in front of me, and I don't want to give you the wrong
We're
number.
getting $200 million in funds this year and $200 million next year. So it's obviously our focus is seeing it get this money go into the communities.
Yeah, it's a one-shot deal. Right. You're never going to see it again.
Right. Legislator Whitten.
I was just going to say that the money is federal money, and sometimes there have been issues, that we have to follow their guidelines. But we'll definitely inquire to see. I'm on that board, and I haven't heard of anything in particular that would make me think, oh, this is why this is happening. But I'll follow up with it too.
Well, I mean, all the money got appropriated, so there's really no reason not to have given it a long time ago. I'm sorry, I took up too much time. Thanks.
Thank you, Pat. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. We appreciate it. Tom Bruno, Coalition of Youth Services.
Good afternoon. My name is Tom Bruno. I'm representing the Coalition of Youth Service Agencies. Just to piggyback on what Pat has said, we had a Zoom meeting with the Commissioner of Health and Human Services, the Deputy County Executive, and Dana Boylan from the Office of Youth Services. It was a Zoom meeting where we were all told that we would be receiving 20% of our budget. We were all ecstatic. And we were told at that time, during that meeting, that there would be no contracts, there would be no advances, and there would be no vouchering for this money. But we had to spend it properly, which we all know how to do. And we were told we should be receiving this money either electronically or by check by September 15th. Well, here it is, October 25th. We still have not seen anything. Last week, we had a coalition meeting, and at that meeting, one of our colleagues who was involved with a meeting with the Controller's Office said that now they were going to be having contracts, there was going to be an advance, and there was going to be a vouchering process. This was supposed to be emergency funding that was appropriated by you, sent to the county, and supposed to get out to us as quickly as possible. We've seen nothing. So please, anything that you can do to shake this up, to get this money to the agencies. Some of us are suffering. You know, we've gone through the pandemic. Most of us either did something virtually or on site. My agency closed for 3 months, but we did open up again last July, and we've been going full bore ever since. But we still have not seen this money. So anything that you can do, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Before you leave, it's clear to us that with the pandemic and its effects on not only physical health, but the mental health of many young people struggling through these times, that the services that your agencies are providing are more valuable than ever. And this is exactly what this money should be going to.
The kids were devastated by this. You know, what happened to these kids, they went home from school on Friday afternoon. They came to our Boys and Girls Club on a Friday afternoon. Over the weekend, that was taken away from them. School was taken away from them. And these kids went into a hole. And if it wasn't for our agencies, we don't know what would have happened to these kids.
Legislator Walker.
Tom, I just want to thank you so much for coming this morning. And I know you and I spoke the other day. And
yes.
It's very upsetting, I believe, certainly to all of us, that you have not received this money yet. You knew what protocol was going to be followed, and you knew once you received it what protocol you had to follow.
Right.
And unfortunately, to not have that money yet and the whole game plan seems to have changed is another very upsetting thing too.
Yeah, we would have had no problem at all. If we were told that things were going to change, that would have been fine. But we were told nothing. We were all under the assumption until last Wednesday that this money was forthcoming. Now, I did get an email from the executive director of the Office of Youth Services on Thursday saying that she just signed off on my money and that it was being moved on. But I wrote back to her, what does that mean? Does that mean that there's going to be advance? Does that mean that there's going to be a contract? I got nothing back.
Right. So you have to find out those answers. We have to find out those answers also. And I see firsthand with our kids, I'm still very involved with our school district and activities, and I know the kids that are counting on you, and you know, so many of them need the services all the more than they did even before COVID hit. So just thank you for all you do and what all the agencies do, and hopefully we will get to the bottom of this very quickly.
Thank you very much.
Legislator Rhodes.
And again, thank you for coming here and letting us know this issue, because I think we were, to a certain extent, I think we were sold the same bill of goods that you were sold. My understanding is, that we were told that it was a simple process, that simply by providing you an additional 20% above and beyond your budget, it was going to be easy to allocate those funds and get those funds into your hands as soon as humanly possible. It seemed like a simple process, and now it seems as though the administration, for whatever reason, is reneging on that. But we need to know what that is, and you know, I don't want to find out, 2 weeks from now. I want to find out now. So if we have the ability to have somebody come down here and give us an explanation as to why all of a sudden, sort of like the plan to have $375 checks sent to 300,000 homeowners, taxpayers, all of a sudden that plan has changed. So I appreciate you bringing this to our attention. But again, I've got to question why it is we're getting delays out of the administration in getting money into the hands of residents, getting money into the hands of youth services, getting money into the hands of businesses that need it. That was the purpose of the pandemic funds, not to sit on it for months, not to sit on it for a year, certainly with the case of the CARES Act funds, and then eventually dole it out or keep it. I'm hoping that's not what's happening here. But you're owed an explanation, and so are we. We want to make sure we get it. I appreciate you mentioning it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you again. Merrill Fisher.
Good afternoon. I spoke before this legislative body before the pandemic. I gave you some documents. Nothing has been resolved. So I wake up every day sick to my stomach, literally fighting for my life. I'm Jewish. I feel like I'm living in Nazi Germany to the next level. My legislator is Legislator Drucker. I don't see him in the room. I heard someone say here, but I don't see him.
There are several legislators who are participating remotely.
Well, I hope he's listening. I call his office and I email his office constantly. I called all your offices this morning and I emailed you. New York is a murder-for-profit state. So I have 2 lawsuits. I appeared in court twice last week, Tuesday the Surrogates Court and Friday the Supreme Court. I am grieving the property taxes. Let me give you the AR number, 300-745/2021. It's taxation without representation. New York State has an inhumane wrongful death statute. It's legally better to kill people than injure them. The bill to correct this inhumane law has been up in Albany since 1994. Today, October 25th, is the 21st year anniversary of my dad's assault in Plainview Hospital. My mom and I watched it. I went all through the system. I've done extensive research. I've gotten no relief in 21 years. My special needs brother was victimized in Plainview Hospital in 2017. The system is broken. It's legally better to kill people than injure them. My brother Jonathan Fisher is suing me in Nassau County Surrogates Court over my mother's trust. And I am alleging that he violated the terms of the trust. He's lying in court. I cannot get an attorney. I can't afford an attorney. There is no legal aid in Nassau County for American citizens, either for the state Supreme Court or the surrogate court. So I am struggling and I need relief. So let me give you the number of the surrogate case. Bear with me for 1 second. I have them together. No, let's separate this. Okay, the surrogate number is 2016-8389152A. And I'm the bad person in this. That's the way it's turning out. I'm the administrator to the estate, and I'm the trustee, and my brother lied in court. He's gaming the system. He's been trying to force a sale of the house since the day my mother passed away in 2016. I was living in the house with my special needs brother, Andy. My brother, Jonathan, abandoned Andrew. He breached the contract of the trust. And my goals are, I want this inhumane law changed. The title is an act to amend the Estates, Powers, and Trusts Law in relation to payment and distribution of damages in wrongful death actions. All your families will be affected by this. I have a public access television program. I went public with this a long time ago, and I thought that that would change things. I went public with my dad's medical records, the multiple billing claims, all the blow-off letters from the different government agencies. My program airs Altice Cablevision Channel 20, Woodbury and Hauppauge Systems, every Monday at 5:30 p.m. The name of the program is Medical Errors. So even though I went public with these issues, nothing has been resolved in 21 years. I'm going to give you some documents, and I don't know what to tell you. I can give you a website. It's https:/archive.org/details/FBI knew Hitler was alive. So after World War II, Adolf Hitler, the FBI knew that he was taken by submarine to South America, so Hitler's alive. Under Operation Paperclip, the USA got the Nazis' best and brightest, and under Operation Mockingbird, the CIA colluded with the media to distribute propaganda. So I'd be very happy to provide you with more information. I've been researching this for over 20 years. I have everything documented. I want justice. I want accountability. I want to be able to continue to live in the house that I shared with my family since 1955. And I want to prevent the abuse from happening to other people. And I know my time is running out. I sent you in the emails. I don't know who got what. But I sent it to Legislator Drucker, and then I forwarded it to everyone. So I don't know what you got. But the latest statistic in the Journal of the American Medical Association, 15,000 Medicare recipients are being killed by doctors every month, and nothing is happening. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Please change the system. I want relief. I want justice. Thank you.
Mr. Presiding Officer, may I make a statement?
Sure,
please? May I
let's
respond?
Drucker, go ahead.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Ms. Fisher, Merrill, we have responded. We have read your emails and your calls to my office. Unfortunately, as we've indicated, your complaints involve claims of murder by Northwell Hospital, black market sale of organs, vampires, a whole slew of things, and changing New York State laws, all of which we've told you is beyond my jurisdiction. So we are aware, we have forwarded it to state representatives, but your allegations are way beyond what I can possibly do for you. And I certainly feel badly, and I sympathize, and if there was something I could do, I would.
Okay, Legislator Drucker, can I just respond to that? Did you take an oath when you took the office?
Your time is up, Ms. Fisher. We appreciate you coming down today.
So he's saying it's not his job. That's what he's saying. That's unacceptable at this point.
His comments speak for themselves. Mita Merode?
Good afternoon, one and all. My condolences go out to the Ryan family. I was definitely very familiar with him, and also, for me personally, I included in that moment of silence the ongoing number of people that we continue to lose due to the pandemic, as well as the overall neglect in terms of housing and lack of resources, despite the fact we pay the second highest taxes in the country. And also, I included for me and for history in the moment of silence the loss of the former Joint Chief of Staff, Chair, General Colin Powell. Now, I'm hoping, I see that the timer went a little fast because, you know, other people were able to kind of get up and speak and comment, and that 5 minute kind of sat there for like a minute and a half, but I digress. With regard to this being the full ledge, I wanted to bring attention to the fact that there are still ongoing concerns with the distribution of resources, and I believe Legislator Rhodes made the comment, and I agree with him with regard to the use of pandemic funds being used for the purposes that they were designed for in terms of urgent issues that are impacting residents who are suffering from COVID. Which is interesting because the other night I was at the Town of Hempstead meeting where they mentioned that they have a good chunk of the monies that they received tucked away in a rainy day fund. And when that was questioned by residents and taxpayers, we were pretty much blown off. So I know that there had been a lawsuit from Nassau County against the town, and I'm just curious as to where we are with that lawsuit. Again, those resources could have been well spent in particularly communities of color, could have assisted our seniors and our veterans during a time period that was very critical for them, and unfortunately not many made it through because of the lack of those resources. My concerns also have to do with the disparity funding. New York State requires that there's a study with regard to the utilization of minority women and veteran-owned businesses. I have yet to receive, and I've asked many times in this forum, to have a breakdown of the usage of minority women and veteran businesses. Not the four-part office of minority affairs, Asian affairs, Hispanic affairs, and soon any other jurisdiction or constituency that needs to have an office, so that there can be another holiday or a designated day or month so that people can pose, have pictures, and eat culturally enriched foods. I'm talking about specific services for underserved constituencies in this year 2021. I am a strong proponent that all lives matter, but unless we address the fact that those who have continued to be underserved and underrepresented, we will all face challenges and discrimination. Where do I begin with regard to road work in Nassau County? I can't. It just speaks for itself to the disrepair in select communities as it pertains to the funding for road repair and infrastructure work. We have empty buildings that could be utilized for a wide variety of things to benefit our veterans, benefit our seniors, keep young people here, provide resources. As you pass the illustrious Franklin Avenue, you see what used to be a prime location for supermarkets and retail, etc., things of that nature. We don't have that anymore. Many of our downtown areas, I live in Baldwin, we're still trying to figure out what happened with the $10 million that everybody wanted to jump and pose in front of pictures, but we still have no real downtown. Those are questions that residents are asking. Youth services, again, it's a problem. Someone mentioned earlier about boys and girls clubs for young people to go to. We don't really have a boys or girls club in Baldwin for our young people to go to. We do not have resources, again, in the townships, particularly the town of Hempstead. Cannot speak to the town of North Hempstead or the town of Oyster Bay. I just know the town of Hempstead, we are underrepresented, underserved, and overtaxed. Lastly, with regard to, again, the taxes themselves, there was a heated discussion last month with regard to the rolls and the polls and the charges for housing and for property and things of that nature. The residents are still facing challenges, even with this elusive $375 check that some people are getting directly in the mail. Some people are told they have to apply for. Others are told they don't qualify for. Again, depending on whoever wins the upcoming election, where is the relief? Where are the real answers? Where are the real resources? And the support systems for the people who continue to pay taxes in this county and continue to be underserved. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mita. Stephen Edmondson. Stephen Edmondson? Okay.
Back again. And I can't believe James Kennedy's secretary doesn't know the number for DSS commissioner, who happened to work with former Governor Cuomo in the city of New York, and that's her own claim to fame. I found out she lives in Farmingdale. We might have a rally at her house. And you should bring her down here, because I don't know what this lady absolutely does. When you have homeless people such as myself living in shelters that are unsatisfactory, and you want $1,550 for my Social Security money because I'm a senior citizen to pay for these insanity shelters. I was told that Kevin Abrahams took a tour of the shelter that I'm living in Roosevelt, because they love to put us in Roosevelt. Because all these shelters, like, finally I got my answers. Question to the county people who run at the county executive, why are they dumping them in the minority neighborhoods, all these shelters? I mean, you have a hotel in Denise Ford's area that could be used for homeless people and other things, because I talked to someone, Mrs. Miller, but it still hasn't happened. I took a tour with Michael Rabb, who you all know. The first floor was shot, the second floor was good. It could be used for homeless people. I also did an article, which I'll give you a copy of, in the Long Island Press, because I'm with the Poor People's Campaign, an nationwide organization with Reverend Barber, and we have had it on Long Island. You're putting us in there with pedophiles. You're putting us in with the guy who robbed the TD Bank with the hat. He was in Peace Valley Haven, and you don't bother Reverend Haynes because she's got Reverend in front of her name. She's been audited by George Maragos, doesn't pay her employees, and almost killed a bunch of people on Park Avenue, which is now the Allen House. Where is this director from Social Services? Just because she worked with the governor's sister, I mean, that gives her qualifications that you all voted for. I mean, where is this lady? It's supposed to be the oversight that you all voted for, the Attorney General of Nassau County, who tells me she's going to call me back, do an investigation, and she never does it. I mean, this is election year, and it takes, I mean, I'm glad I got the letter last time from Howard Kelpel's office about getting paid. It takes us a month to get paid when we work for the Board of Elections. Yes, the poor people work for the Board of Elections. We help you guys out. We help you get elected. Now do something for the poor people, like get us some housing. Thank you.
Ralph Del Bello. By the way, we have the hand sanitizer there. We should probably have wipes there as well. We do. So if anyone would like to clean the microphone, obviously in this day and age of COVID,
I'll stay a couple of feet from it.
Yeah. No, it doesn't matter. It's not just you, Mr. Edmondson. It's anyone who's at the mic.
I just want to thank the legislature for letting me speak today. I want to comment on proposal resolution 196-2021. I know you guys addressed it last week, but I work in Manhattan. I missed it. So I'd like to address it today. I know I've been following it for a while, and I know the Majority Caucus set forth a reasonable tax plan, shaving off $50 million, reducing the fees in $100 million, and trying to cut wasteful political patronage positions hired by county executive current. She made the statement she wants 65%, 35%. I think that 65% is going to pay for the 35%. I'm trying to appeal to the Minority Caucus and Mr. Abrahams to consider working with the Majority Caucus and get a more reasonable tax plan. I've been in my house for 27 years. I don't want to lose it. And I'm sure the rest of the people in Long Island think of the same thing. You boast that you want to keep young people on Long Island and people on Long Island. This is not the way to do it. By having a more reasonable and affordable tax plan for homeowners, will keep people on Long. And if not, it'll drive people out. And New York is going to be another Detroit. So I just want to express that, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeVello. Kevin McKenna. Kevin McKenna.
Good afternoon. Kevin McKenna, Edna Drive, Syosset, New York. I'm going to speak fast, so I want to make it in the 5 minutes. Please pay attention. Thank you. I filed a complaint recently with the New York State Attorney General's Public Integrity Unit regarding these 3 issues. Number 1, the Nassau County Comptroller, in response to my FOIL request for their last take-home vehicle audit, admitted they have never performed a take-home vehicle audit. They only performed 2 limited reviews in 2015 and 2018. In response, I emailed the Comptroller this critical question. Is the Comptroller following IRS Rule 15B regarding take-home vehicles by either deducting the value of the fringe benefit from or adding the value of the fringe benefit to the salaries of members of the Nassau County Police Department? I asked because if the Comptroller has disregarded IRS Rule 15B, the Comptroller has committed tax fraud. The employee avoiding taxes has also committed tax fraud. Can a Nassau County police chief say, I didn't realize I was committing tax fraud by using a take-home vehicle with free gas to drive from my house in Suffolk County to work in Nassau County while not reporting this fringe benefit to the IRS? The Comptroller was unable to answer my Comptroller question and instead referred my Comptroller question to the Nassau Police Legal Bureau, and they have refused to respond. 2, the Nassau County Comptroller failed to respond to my second FOIL request for their last audit of the Nassau County Police Asset Forfeiture Fund. The Comptroller didn't even refer this FOIL request anywhere. The Comptroller simply did nothing. Failing to respond means this audit was never performed, so we will never know if no-bid contracts were awarded to vendors with connections paid under the shield of the never-audited Nassau Police Asset Forfeiture Fund, which is public corruption. Police Commissioner Ryder was the commanding officer of the Asset Forfeiture and Intelligence Unit until shortly becoming the police commissioner. Does a vendor need to know Ryder's cell phone number to get a no-bid contract using Nassau Police Asset Forfeiture money? 3, the Civil Service Commission failed to respond to my FOIL request for their job postings regarding the 23 new hires for the Nassau Police Body Cam program, 19 of which are intelligence analysts with a starting salary of $72,000 per year. Failing to respond means the Civil Service Commission bypassed and 23 people with connections were hired, which is illegal. The Civil Service Commission referred my civil service FOIA request to the Nassau County Police Department, and they have refused to respond. In 2010, the intelligence analyst hiring frenzy began, with 9 being hired. Before that, Nassau County Police Department only had 2. From 2010 to 2020, a total of 28 intelligence analysts were hired. They all worked in the Asset Forfeiture and Intelligence Unit until 2020, when 2 out of the 5 hired that year were sent to the District Attorney's Office. Police Commissioner Ryder was the commanding officer of the Asset Forfeiture and Intelligence Unit in 2010, and he remained there shortly until he became the police commissioner. Does a Nassau County resident need to know Ryder's cell phone number to become an intelligence analyst and earn $72,000 per year to start, plus benefits? The largest hiring of intelligence analysts was this year, with an additional 19 hired to work for the Nassau Police Body Cam program, as reported by Newsday's Candace Ferret. The inaccurate report that was fed to her by Nassau County Police Commissioner Ryder and the county executive, Laura Curran, because they wanted people to think that they could apply for the job. I found the names of a few of the intelligence analysts by searching LinkedIn under intelligence analysts. One of them is named Brendan Von Runnen, whose mother, Sandra Von Runnen, works for the Nassau County Legislative Body. Town of Oyster Bay Councilman Steve Labriola's daughter was hired as an intelligence analyst for the Nassau Police in 2013, but she resigned in 2020. I have provided, perfect timing, I have provided 19 copies of my official complaint that was provided to the Attorney General's office and the Public Integrity Unit, and I want you to know that the Nassau County Public Corruption Unit has taken this complaint and they have assigned a public corruption complaint number. They're not leaving it up to the regular DA's office. Nassau legislator, folks, please do your job and demand audits on these issues. Thank you very much.
Domenica Califano.
Good afternoon. I was here at the last meeting and I spoke out, and I'm going to speak again. I found it very disturbing that you have a sergeant that's working at the 4th Precinct that has 4 federal lawsuits against him and 1 state lawsuit against him. He has pulled a gun out on a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and myself, has lied to Internal Affairs. I am not allowed to show the videotape because it's an ongoing investigation, and I have a lawsuit against Nassau County. The 4th Precinct needs to be investigated. You have Detective Butts holding a child hostage in her office and then released her with minimum damage to her arrest. You have Christopher Shannon, a drug addict that's in and out of doctor's office for pain medicines. He holds a gun, harassing young girls. You have the commanding officer there, Mrs. Moles, I believe it is, does nothing about it. She's putting a bad name for our good cops that we do have in Nassau County. You have a few bad cops, and it needs to be investigated. I live in fear every day of my life that I need to call 911 for whatever reason. I had a drug dealer that I turned into narcotics. The guy committed suicide. He was going to kill my family. 4th Precinct did nothing about it, would not help me. Instead, I was arrested. Thank God all my charges have been dismissed. I am not saying that all cops are bad, but you do have a few dirty cops in the 4th Precinct, and they do need better training. We live in a neighborhood that needs safety, and thank God we do have our police officers. But these individuals, Sergeant Crawford has 4 federal lawsuits and 1 state lawsuit. That is New York. That's our tax dollar being wasted. They're not responsible to pay for that. I really wish someone would look into this. Laura Curran just sits back and smiles. This is not fair. Denise Ford heard all about this. It was all over the paper. She's in my neighborhood. Nothing's ever done. We need to look into the 4th Precinct. And if not this, I'm going to the state to do an investigation. There's a lot of dirty cops in that station house that needs to be investigated. Second is very surprising. There's an organization called Rough House Rescue in Island Park. Animals are being abused. Denise Ford's area again. There's been numerous complaints. The girl's leaving, not leaving. The fire marshal goes there because of her political connections. They let it be. You got the fire marshal, you got the health department. Sick dogs are coming in and getting all our dogs in our neighborhood sick. We need to do something. I'm not sure with everyone's political connections how these people get away. It is not fair. It's very upsetting. It's not safe. It's not right for other animals that this individual making $4 million a year. I and 2 other women had her so-called sanctuary in Kentucky shut down. If you would have saw what this place looked like, that the dogs were going to get saved, you would die. The guy was arrested with 25 counts. David Hagery in Kentucky. We're trying to shut it down in Texas, which is. New York State does nothing for these animals. It's very sad. And they don't do anything to save little kids that are being killed in family court with family court judges also. It's very sad how the county plays both sides of the thing. And Ms. Denise Ford, I have spoken to your office, which I have a great deal of concern about a handicap ramp. 2 of them were supposed to be put. If you go see this handicap ramp that was put on the corner of Carolina and Long Beach Road, you would die. You would die. I put a measuring thing, the thing's like this. So if you go walk on that handicap ramp, it's destroyed. I went to the town of Hempstead meeting. I had to fight. The building department gentleman said that his engineer is amazing. The guy that did all the plans, he known him for 20 years. That's the problem. You known him for 20 years, and he's not doing the right job, but he's taking money in. I'm just in shock. I have spoken to your office, Mrs. Ford, and nothing's being done about this handicap ramp also, and it's in your district also. Please look into these matters. Most important is that the 4th Precinct needs better training to save us. I am a white young lady, and I am being harassed, threatened, and abused by them. Please, someone help and change the ways. Not all cops are bad, but you got to get rid of the bad cops in the 4th Precinct. Thank you.
Pearl Jacobs.
Before my clock starts, can I ask that someone come and wipe this mic? Okay, when I go to the town, they wipe the mic. Okay, we're still in a COVID environment.
Can we have somebody do
and
this?
I have a 101-year-old grandma that I see frequently, so I'm very careful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so today I'm here to speak regarding the Nassau County Initiative Roads for Votes. Okay, I just have a sampling of all the roads that are being done in Nassau County. These are the roads that I frequent: Salisbury Park Drive, Westbury Avenue, Merrick Avenue, Rosalind Road, Stewart Avenue, Franklin Avenue. And now I have down here Jerusalem Avenue, which is in Uniondale.
Mr. McKenna,
with a
please go back to your seat. Ms. McKenna.
with an X next to it.
Okay, well, could you stop our clock?
Yeah,
Mr. McKenna.
please stop my clock. Thank you.
Go ahead, Pearl.
Okay, so all these roads have been restored to pristine condition: Salisbury Park Drive, Westbury Avenue, Merrick Avenue, Rosalind Road, Stewart Avenue, Franklin Avenue. This is just a sampling of the roads in Nassau County. There are over 53 roads that have been restored. Jerusalem Avenue has not been restored. That's why I have a little red X next to it. I have some questions. My question: what criteria did Salisbury Park Drive and Westbury Avenue meet to receive preference for a complete resurfacing, as these roads were in good condition prior to resurfacing? In late 2020, Franklin Avenue and Rosalind Road underwent utility service construction immediately after the utilities completed the work. Both roads were completely resurfaced in early 2021. Jerusalem Avenue underwent construction in 2018 and received a wear and win patch job after much advocacy from the Unionville community in 2019. Consequently, Jerusalem Avenue is still assessed as fair to poor condition by the Nassau County Department of Engineering. What criteria did Franklin Avenue and Roslyn Road meet that Jerusalem Avenue did not? I guess you're not listening because there's a lot of talk up there, but I would really need answers to my questions.
My apologies.
I need answers to my
apologies. I was
yeah.
asking about an emergency. We have an emergency that's coming up
Okay.
after this agenda.
So I need answers to my question. Why is Jerusalem Avenue languishing when Jerusalem Avenue's utility work was done in 2018, okay, and it's been languishing for 2.5, almost 3 years without repair? Meanwhile, you have these other roads in other zip codes. They were in good condition, but yet and still they were resurfaced to pristine condition, okay? Why? And I have the answer to that, but I just want to hear your answers. Legislator Abrahams, if you have an answer to that?
Yeah, well, I don't have an answer for all those roads, but I would ask Mr. Arnold to come up and maybe if he can remember the condition of those roads. The way roads are done, Pearl, are tied to timing and timing of when each road comes up for consideration. As you know, many of the roads, the resurfacing, and I'll let Mr. Arnold speak to it, it works off of a 15, 20 year, sometimes roads that are more heavily used, 10 years. So sometimes, like, say, for example, where I live in Freeport.
Why is the clock, oh, I'm sorry, the clock is still going?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were done with your comment.
No,
Sorry.
I'm listening to you, but the clock is still going. I don't want my time taken away.
No, you don't have to worry about the time, because if you're done, then you will have a back and forth. It won't be counted against you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. No, as I was saying before, depending on the use of the roads, some roads have a different timing of when they get done, a different frequency of when they get done. Jerusalem Avenue doesn't fall into that category, but I'm just giving you an example where Jerusalem Avenue may be different than Unionville Avenue because of the one is a two-way versus one being a one-way. That being said, you brought up Jerusalem a couple times. I thought our office, I don't know, I apologize if we haven't sent it to her, but I believe we had received from the Department of Public Works a tentative schedule to begin the road work actually this week.
So
I apologize if you didn't get that.
No, I did not receive that.
Mr. Arnold sent it to us last week. Ken, was it last week you sent us the tentative schedule? He's singling yes. So I apologize you didn't get that. I thought that we were sending that to everybody, but maybe I was. Well,
definitely let them know what's happening in October.
Yeah. Okay. So I apologize that you haven't received that, but that work, and we'll make sure you get it today, is tentatively begin this week, which I believe the 27th, if I remember in the letter, Ken, it said the 27th to be done. Now, in terms of why Salisbury Park Drive and Westbury Avenue and some other roads got done before this road?
Westbury didn't.
Oh, Westbury.
Yes, Westbury Avenue was done, partially done. Yes, it was.
Not in Carr Place.
I drive there, not
where you're
further
talking
down
about?
from Carr Place,
Okay.
yes. As
I
you
thought you were
cross
talking
over,
about
it was done. Pristine.
Okay. I mean, look, the bottom line is when those roads get done and how they get done and the timing they get done, I would leave that to Mr. Arnold, but I'm more concerned about the roads that you brought up that are in the legislature I represent, and Jerusalem Avenue is scheduled to be done. As you know, Jerusalem Avenue there was patch-up work, and then there was also DPW-related work prior to that. You know the history with that, but that work is scheduled to be done on October 27th.
So I like I said, you know, Legislator Abrahams,
tentatively.
Legislator Abrahams, I come here and I come here informed, okay? Now, I had a meeting in April with County Executive Curran and Emily, I forgot her last name, she's the Department of Highways, or whatever she is. But we were told, they spoke about usability of the roadways, okay, usability. And that's one of the criteria that they use to how they rate when these roads will get done, rank and rate. Okay, so usability of roadways, Westbury Avenue has one bus route. Salisbury Avenue Salisbury Park Drive has 0 bus routes. Jerusalem Avenue has 2 bus routes, okay, 2 bus routes. Now, 2018, I've been advocating for the restoration of Jerusalem Avenue since 2018, okay? Franklin Avenue, I can reference that. beautifully paved, pristine. The utility work was done at the end of 2020. I watched it being done at the tail end of 2020, and it was immediately restored at the beginning of 2021, okay? Salisbury Drive, Park Drive did not have any utility work, but yet and still it was restored to pristine condition. Jerusalem Avenue was was a safety issue because there wasn't even any lines in the road after NatGrid or PSC or the sewer project tore it up. 2.5 years we sat there. I saw accidents. I saw people lose their axles coming across that bridge, okay? But yet and still, all these roads around us, especially election time, roads for votes, okay? They're all getting done, but not in minority communities, okay? I pulled the website up. I saw the projects. I read the projects, and the ratio of roads and community areas that are being done is appalling as opposed to the roads that are in other zip codes being done, okay? And none are in Uniondale, Roosevelt, or Lakeview.
Sorry, Frank. Apologize. I was saying that, just to be fair, there's three major roads that go through Uniondale that are the county's responsibility. Correct? I mean, let's make sure we're just talking apples to
Jerusalem,
apples. Jerusalem,
Uniondale
Nassau
Avenue.
Road, Uniondale Avenue.
Right.
Front Street is a state road, as you know, as well as.
And that's a disaster, and I'm all on with Senator Thomas and Assemblywoman Darling to make that road right. Believe me.
So, I mean, Jerusalem is scheduled to be done, as I said before. Are there any other roads that I guess with your committee have you sat down with that need to be addressed?
Right now, like I said, I'm advocating for Front Street, but that has nothing to do with you.
Okay.
Okay? I just want to make it a point that there is an issue in Nassau County. That's why I have my T-shirt on. It says segregated roadway. Okay?
I see the shirt.
And I will continue to wear my T-shirt, and when people ask me what do I mean by that, I will explain it to them. Okay, that Nassau County, they take care of some areas, and they don't take care of others, okay? And it goes by your zip code. And no one can tell me anything differently, because otherwise Jerusalem Avenue would not have been languishing for almost 3 years. And these other roads were done 2 months after they were torn apart. 2 months they were restored to pristine condition. It's nothing other than discrimination.
I understand what you're saying.
Until we get parity, until our communities become on parity with other communities, I will still
I understand what you're saying, Pearl, but in that same time frame, Uniondale Avenue was done over.
Okay, I mean, we're going back and
forth.
This
you're
is going
saying
on
this, but I really don't understand.
This is going on for 10 minutes or so, speaking of
No,
parity.
it's not 10 minutes yet,
All right, 9 minutes.
presiding officer.
Everyone else
It's
got
not
5.
10 minutes.
So, thank you very much.
Okay,
Let's
and
go to the next piece.
let's say Abrahams, and I just want to let you know that people in our community, Uniondale, Roosevelt, Lakeview, they're more informed than ever, okay? They're more...
Excellent.
They're advocating more. You can actually check out some of the town of Hempstead...
Next speaker is Mr. Levine.
Check out some of the town of Hempstead council meetings, and you'll see what I'm speaking about. When it comes to me,
Levine,
I'm not a person to be pacified, and I don't accept mediocrity. And I expect Jerusalem Avenue to be done. Thank you.
Mr. Levine?
I come bearing some good news. Mr. Nicolello, hands down, the best presiding officer this building's ever had. And I've been active in politics since I was 6, giving out flyers for my dad. Not even close. Really good news is after an 11-year quest, bill number S-7245.
Hold on a moment. Mr. McKenna. Mr. McKenna, please take your seat with the rest of the audience. You're not a member of the press. Please take your seat, sir. Please take your seat, sir. Because you're not CBS News, Mr. McKenna. Would you please have your seat? Oh, I'm sure you do. But in the meantime, as every other member of the public, would you please take your seat? Mr. McKenna, please have your seat like every other member of the public.
If you could just stop the clock for a sec, or
Please stop the clock.
Three.
Stop the clock. Mr. McKenna, here's the rules. You're a public citizen here taking whatever Facebook page you have or whatever. You're free to make comments. You're free to do whatever you want from your seat. But please do not stand around, kneel in front of the podium, all the rest of that stuff, okay? So please have a seat. Because as a member of the public, you're permitted to your seat. You can't roam around. You can't stand wherever you want, sir. Mr. McKenna, please have your seat. You remember the public. Well, I don't care who you sit down for, but just sit down.
Thanks.
Whatever it is. So, Mr. Levine, did I take up any of your time there?
Next time I come, you could take 35 seconds off. So it's S7245, and the reason why I'm sharing it with you guys is it was an 11-year quest. I was told no so many times. Basically, it'll complete the CAPA Act, Companion Animal Protection Act, and it'll make it illegal to kill dogs in New York unless a decree of a judge. So you won't be seeing any more of those NYACC, to be killed tomorrow posts. And all I'm asking for everyone at the dais is to let all your friends in the Assembly and the Senators, Todd Kaminsky's on board with this, to please make this unanimous. It's like Derek Jeter should have gotten to the Hall of Fame unanimous. I want S7245 unanimous. So whatever poll you guys have with these Assembly people, with the Senators, I'd greatly appreciate it. The most important project in Nassau County history has been completely, let me rephrase, has come to the wrong conclusions as per the Newsday article. I've reached out to Congresswoman Rice, had personal conversations with Chuck Schumer's chief of staff. Todd Kaminsky, of course, has been a huge advocate of the sea gates, the floodgates, the barriers, working in conjunction with a levee system analogous to what just pretty much saved the city of New Orleans from getting devastated again. Those levees held up. I visited New Bedford, took a little road trip down there, loaded up my pups. We went down there. Those things work. And I encourage every legislature, whether you're on the North Shore, Mid Shore, or Denise, of course, being always a friend to me. Your assistant Patty's wonderful. But we need to change course. We need to get Chuck a little bit more involved with Long Island stuff. And I know he's going through, battles daily. We see it in Washington. But Chuck, the assistant to Chuck Schumer listened to me for 20 minutes on this. And I was in football coach mode. Okay? We can talk loud when we need to. But I have not heard Bruce Blakeman nor Laura Curran mention this once in the campaign. And please correct me if I'm wrong. If you've heard either candidate mention this. As everybody knows, I'm a write-in candidate for Nassau County Executive. And I'm not here for just to participate. I'm here to win. I'm going to lower school taxes. I have conferences coming up at NYSED to do what all of you should have been doing all along. Lowering school taxes. Nobody can afford to live here anymore. We need to divide Nassau into 4 quadrants. Glen Cove to Long Beach, Elmont to like the part of Farmingdale that's in Nassau County. We need to centralize administration. Oceanside pays close to $1.25 million for 5 do-nothing hacks. Superintendents are useless. We need to get rid of every superintendent position in Nassau County and have 4 master superintendents in each quadrant. And any one of you that doesn't battle and help me with NYSED, because it took me forever to get a hold of a human being, and I'd like to thank Assemblyman Griffith's office for that. Yeah, sure. This is the legislature. Okay. I don't know why I'm doing the job that everybody at this dais needs to be doing. Nobody's doing anything about school taxes, and all you guys say it's not my jurisdiction. Wrong, wrong, wrong. I've coached in schools. I won a county championship my first year as a varsity coach. I've asked teachers all over, what do these administrative folks do that's vital to the education of our students? Nobody's given me an answer. Okay? You see the salaries they're making? If anybody walks away from this table not thinking I'm correct, then you hit me up on Facebook. But I hope everybody in the county writes me in, because I got a shot, because people are tired of Bruce Blakeman and Laura Curran's lies. Thank you. Gary Levine.
Okay. Those are all the slips that I have, so public comment is over. We're going to move on to the legislative calendar now. It is a short calendar today. There's only 12 items. They went through committees 2 weeks ago, and they were fully vetted at that time, so it's been agreed by the majority and the minority at this time that no further debate or discussion needs to happen with respect to these items. So I'm going to call the consent calendar. Item 1, ordinance number 105. Item 2, ordinance number 106. Item 3, ordinance 107. 4, ordinance 108. 5, ordinance 109. 6, resolution 197. 7, resolution 198. 8, resolution 199. 9, resolution 200. 10, resolution 201. 11, resolution 202. And 12, resolution 203. A motion by Deputy Presiding Officer Coppell, seconded by Minority Leader Abrahams. Any debate or discussion among the legislators? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Okay, in terms, we have one item on an emergency agenda. I'll read it. It's 375 of 2021. A resolution authorizing the county executive to execute an intermunicipal agreement with the City of Long Beach in relation to a project to procure an office trailer and related items. A motion to establish the emergency by Legislator Ford, seconded by Legislator Birnbaum. Before we vote on the emergency, Legislator Ford, why don't you just tell us what's the emergency nature of this?
I know it seems odd that a trailer would be an emergency item, but I thank you all for considering this. The City of Long Beach, in their City Hall, has a court on the second floor, and on part of that floor is also occupied by the Long Beach firefighters, and it's used as a room, like in between tours, where they could rest and whatever that they need. I guess they need it in between tours. So the court has to move into. They have to start taking that area over. So they needed a place to be able to then house the firefighters in between their tours, and there's not enough room in the building, so they came up with the idea of a trailer. As an aside then, as a result of all of this, while we were going through these changes, the City of Long Beach hired their first paid female firefighter, and she's currently working. And because of the configuration of the bathrooms and the showers, she does not have her own restroom or own shower area. So currently she is showering in areas that people can walk through, including men. So the urgency of this is that as soon as they can purchase the trailer, they could do the work for the court, but then also establish an area for the female firefighter to be able to shower and use the facilities privately. So that is the urgency.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions on it? No. So as to the emergency, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Carries unanimously. So now we need a motion and a second on item 375, which I just read a moment ago. Moved again by Legislator Ford, seconded by Legislator Birnbaum. Any debate or discussion on the item? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Carries unanimously. I'm going to place this meeting of the legislature in recess to be called at a later date, and we are going to go back right into the Rules Committee in about 2 or 3 minutes after a short break. right, let's get started with the Rules Committee. All right, I'm going to call the Rules Committee to order. And Mike, do you want to call the roll?
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Rules Committee roll call. Legislator Sheila Bino. Legislator Delia DeRigi-Witten. Ranking Member Kavan Abrahams. Legislator Laura Schaefer. Legislator Stephen Rhodes. Vice Chairman Howard Copel. Chairman Richard Nicolello.
Here.
We have a quorum, sir.
Okay, thank you. We have a number of contracts on the calendar and an addendum to cover today. So just the main items on the main agenda, E146, E147, E148, E149, E151, U4, and U5 of 2021. These are resolutions authorizing the county executive to execute personal services agreements or amendments to personal services agreements between the county and the City of Long Beach, the Incorporated Village of Old Westbury, the Village of Garden City, Avenue Enterprise Solutions, Cameron Engineering and Associates, the Incorporated Village of Lake Success, the Village of Floral Park. Okay, motion by Minority Leader Abrahams, seconded by Deputy Presiding Officer Copel. So those items are before the legislature, the Rules Committee. Need a motion to table E151 of 2021 with respect to Cameron Engineering, as there is as the Inspector General has not yet completed her investigation. Motion by Legislator Bino, seconded by Legislator Rhodes. All in favor of tabling E151 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That item is tabled. I'm going to call the county clerk's item first, since there's only one item there. So E149 of 2021. Anyone? County clerk's office? There you go. See you back there, Mr. Butler.
Good afternoon, John Butler, Fiscal Officer for Nassau County Clerk Maureen O'Connell's office. Item E14921 is a contract for software that runs the electronic document management system at our office. RFP was posted on the county's eProcure website on 10/26/20. 349 potential proposers were notified of this posting, of which 49 downloaded it, and 3 proposals were received by our office. Avenue was selected by our evaluation committee after 2 rounds of scoring. Some delays occurred when negotiating the contract terms with this vendor, in addition to our office needing a board transfer of funds in order to post it. This contract is a revenue positive for the county, and our office was able to negotiate improved terms with the vendor, whereby 100% of all online revenue generated goes to the county, and the previous revenue share was a 90-10 split. Annual recurring revenue is approximately $1 million a year to the county's bottom line.
What does the vendor do? What does the vendor do in terms of what?
The vendor has the license for the software that operates basically everything in our office to be, the documents to be electronic.
Okay.
So, first of all, how is this revenue positive?
There's a website, uslandrecords.com, where people have the ability to go to, and they can get deeds or mortgage information from the site. There are fees that are charged there that the county earns 100% on.
You don't download for free?
I'm sorry?
The downloads are not free?
The downloads are not
free?
They're not free.
Aren't they free pretty much everywhere else?
I don't believe so. If you want the ability to print them, there's a certain convenience fee that's charged. I believe it's 65 cents.
Per document, per page?
Per page.
It sounds a little bit high. And it sounds also a little bit unusual.
Unusual?
Well,
I think it's cutting edge.
It's a convenience. Maybe we've got software now that does it. Do we charge now?
If they want to come to our office.
No, I mean the current system when you go online and print things.
If you were to download and want to print certain things, there would be a fee associated with it, yes. Those fees are actually something, aside from the website, if they come to our office, those fees are generally mandated by the state or the county.
And how is this new software different than whatever you're using now?
It's the same vendor, so the software is the same.
So it's just maintenance?
It's a new contract with that vendor.
Essentially, it's maintenance then, I guess. Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay. Then how did you go to, in other words, then how were you able to bid it out if it's?
We did an RFP,
an RFP
at the same time
for different systems?
I'm sorry?
The RFP would have been for different systems altogether?
No, it's for the same system that was in place. The terms of the old contract were approved with this new contract.
No, I'm saying, but if you would have had another vendor, would you not have had to change systems?
We would have had to change systems,
That's
yes.
Right. Okay. All right, thank you.
Legislator DeReggie Whitten.
Hi, I know there have been some issues with fraud, possible fraud around the deeds. Do you know if this addresses any of those issues?
It does. One of the software enhancements that was actually implemented during the old contract was a property fraud system that we have in here as well. So this vendor does have specific software to address that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Thank you, John. The next contracts are with Public Works.
Good afternoon, Ken Arnold, Public Works. E46, 47, and 148 are traffic safety contracts for the crackdown grants associated with DWI. They're with the villages of Long Beach, Old Westbury, and Garden City, respectively.
Okay. Any questions on those three contracts? Nope. We're going to go to the other two.
So U4 and U5 are also contracts on DWI. U4 is with Lake Success. That is also a crackdown grant. And U5 is the Floral Park DWI multi-year grant for the same program, but not crackdown, just a normal program.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Arnold? Okay, thank you. Any public comment on these contracts?
Oh, I gotta do self-wiping? Man, seriously? Seriously? Wow. Wait, I gotta put my little hand up in here, but I'm just saying. I'm used to doing all of this stuff. You know what I mean? What am I doing here? Anyway, whatever. Okay, my questions again, have to do with the fact that in this day and time, 2021, and I'm still seeing some of the same names with these contracts. We've got vendors that have licensing for software that involves public and private information. Where is the representation and classification as it pertains to this is a minority-owned business, this is a veteran-owned business? Where are the guarantees to people of color who live in these communities, these small businesses that are not getting any bids here? The current county executive brags about the increase of number of registrations of minority women businesses listed on the books. Being listed on the books and not having a contract and not getting any involvement with the supplier diversity is not helping anybody to pay any bills, to create any jobs in these devastated communities, where, as my colleague and friend Pearl Jacobs said, the roads are already jacked up, but we still have minority contractors who could fix those roads if they could get involved in the bid and get a contract. When am I ever going to see in this county, within this state, that there is a vendor who is a service-disabled or minority and women-owned business listed in these documents that we spend so much money with somebody to produce and to print? How many ways, how many times, how many formats, how many platforms people talk about inclusion and diversity and equity, but we're still missing the boat. We have empty businesses along the alleged main streets. Maybe it's not in Glen Cove, maybe it's not in Great Neck, but in communities like the town I was born and raised in Roosevelt, and proud to say that I'm a Roosevelt Rough Rider. In the town that I live in now, Baldwin, we got more 7-Elevens that are open than actual businesses. Again, how many ways? I don't want to distract anybody from going on their Facebook page or answering a campaign promise or looking at a resume for another friend or relative, because if we did a family tree in Nassau County, if we actually looked at the in-laws and the outlaws, when Newsday is going to actually investigate what is happening with the COVID funding that was supposed to be used for emergencies and transport services that did not go to veterans, did not go to seniors, did not go to people of color. It's enough already. It is enough. Martin Luther King's famous speech, how long, not long? It's still too long. And the time period is long enough. When are we going to see anything different? When? I'm asking. Is this county ever going to implement and enforce the practices that we stand up in front of that pledge? One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. When?
Okay. Mr. McKenna.
Kevin McKenna, Edna Drive, Syosset, New York. Meredith, don't worry. Town of Oyster Bay News has about 12 investigative reports going on right now, and you'll never, ever see this information in Newsday or News 12. I actually invited News 12 here today to hear my statement. They told me that they were coming, and as you can see, there's nobody here from News 12 because they protect the corrupt politicians. Both Newsday and News 12 protect the corrupt politicians. And Town of Oyster Bay News that has 15,600 followers right now, that is being followed widely by Nassau County. I hear you guys are learning a lot of information from me, Mr. Nicolello, but you won't let me stand on the side where you told me the press stands.
You need to speak to the contracts that are at issue.
So as far as the contractor issue, with my 2 minutes left.
This contract's at issue, yes.
Okay. And this is a contractor issue. I stated before in my statement, and I cannot believe that...
These are contracts for DWI services with villages.
Yes.
So
I cannot believe that before, with the statement that I made, I cannot believe that not one of you legislators had a question to any of my comments in my statement. Hopefully, you're going to do something to help the Public Corruption Unit investigate your illegal civil service department. As far as the contract, as I said before, the Nassau County Forfeiture Fund
is giving out a lot of contracts.
These are DWI grants to villages,
Yeah, well,
sir.
I'm getting to that.
Well, I want you to get to it
Okay.
now, otherwise your comments are out of order.
As far as minority awarded contracts.
These are contracts with
yes,
villages
I understand.
with DWI.
You need to get that asset forfeiture fund audited to see if any minority contracts were given out from Patrick Ryder's cell phone. Thank you very much.
All right. All in favor of the contract signify by saying aye. Those opposed, carries unanimously. We have one item on the addendum. We need a motion to suspend the rules. Moved by Legislator Rhodes, seconded by Legislator Schaefer. All in favor of suspending the rules signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, carries unanimously. Rules are suspended. E-150 of 2021 is a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute a personal services agreement between the county and Greenman Peterson, Inc. Moved by Legislator DeReggie Whitten, seconded by Legislator Schaefer.
Ken Arnold, Public Works. This is a design contract for Phase 10 traffic signal expansion. It's for various locations throughout the county. We received 3 bids from design firms. GPI was the lowest responsible bid. They have 15% MBE component to their contract.
Could you tell me just a little bit about there's a message board reference in here? Could you just tell me what that's about?
The department put out this RFP before we had the discussions on the message board issue, so it's a legacy item. We will take that to the consultant, and there'll be no message boards unless we come back to this body and discuss it. But it is included as part of a design service, and our intention is not to put these in. If something comes up that we feel that there's really an obligation to discuss it with you, we'll do that before.
Okay, I appreciate that commitment. Legislator DeReggie Whitten.
Hi, Ken. Do you mind just mentioning what areas this entails, this contract?
Sure. It's Forest Avenue, Glen Cove Avenue, Franklin Avenue, Valley Stream, Malvern, Willis, and Mineola Avenues, New White Park Road, and Franklin Avenue and Valley Stream and Franklin Square.
Thank you.
Right, any further debate or discussion? Any public comment on this specific item? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, carries unanimously. Contract's been adopted. Makes a motion to adjourn. Moved by Legislator Rhodes, seconded by Legislator Schaefer. All in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Aye, we're adjourned. Did you want to have a statement, Mr. McKenna? Meeting's over.
As far as these contracts, is there any list of the awarding of the contracts by hamlet or town, like Hempstead, Freeport? Is there any list to see it by town?
We don't have that. You'd have to ask the administration.
Okay, I'm asking the administration right now.
Okay. Well then,
Mr. Arnold, is there any list by
Mr.
town?
McKenna.
He's the administration, isn't he?
Mr. McKenna,
Mr. Arnold, it would be very helpful to